program would be successful if it's done on time, to budget, to quality, right? That's the criteria that we normally strive to. So if you can do all of that, and my main criteria would be if you put something live, the users are happy and they continue to use it, what they call, Microsoft call user adoption. User satisfaction, I would say, is one of the key ones. Testing early. One of the things that we found is that if you've got the testers involved early in the life cycle, not until, some people wait for the developers to finish or the requirements are finished. If the testers are involved from the requirements capture stage, then they know what they're going to be testing. They can also highlight what the potential pitfalls might be. Strongly advise people to use automation, and where they've used test automation, they have been extremely successful. And not only in terms of finding the bugs early, but also in the speed of the program, the speed of the project, where you can get a lot more tests done much quicker and move on. And as part of the DevOps cycle, if it's plugged in, then it suits the organization well. And try and minimize where there was no scope creep.
Key characteristics of a successful D365 journey have been early engagement of QA. This is to ensure that user stories and acceptance criteria are complete and accurate. Then the second point is accurate impact analysis. So identifying what is needed to be tested based on what is impacted, and also identifying what needs to be regressed. The third point is actually always focus on a principle of automation first, shift testing to the left, and make sure you can do automation wherever possible. Then make sure your automation effort, not just doing automation, but make sure it's efficient. So use techniques that will ensure that you bring in the maximum reusability in your automation. Another key characteristic is the scalability of your test data. Make sure that you have data that can be generated to actually cover those bulk data requirements like validating, reporting, and performance. Maintainability is another key attribute that needs to be considered to ensure that you don't spend a lot of time in script maintenance. Security is another attribute. We need to ensure that your security configurations are properly configured, else you're going to get a lot of conflicts in that area. And finally, user satisfaction, not just in terms of the functional elements, but also the non-functional elements such as performance, accessibility, and availability.
Taking the time at the start to plan well and not rush headlong into delivery. Lots of organizations, when I join them, are in the middle of a delivery. Most of the programs are having some challenges, so I'm brought in to try and steady the ship. But there then is this desire to rush and complete what is probably already behind schedule. So step back, take a view, have a look to see what controls are in place. What are the quality measures that you want to achieve at the end of the program? It's about making something sustainable, maintainable. And to that end, you have to do a great deal of planning. And with regards to the testing and quality, make sure that's embedded all the way through the thinking of the program. There's a lot of pressure to just hit the ground running, get things moving again. It's time to take stock and see what are the controls in place, what quality do you want to achieve, what's expected for the organization. Is it a minimum viable product, or is it platinum plated in terms of its delivery? That has to be established very quickly, and they're the boundaries of what drives the quality assurance.
From a strategic point of view, you need to understand the product, in the knowledge transfer of the product. So the testing guys are involved, they need to understand the product. Make sure that you've covered all the different areas. So the manual testing, so they understand the test scripts, the non-functional testing, so that you understand the performance and scalability and security risk, and also from usability point of view, so to make sure that the users are doing the user acceptance testing, but with support from D365 testing experts. That's what I would emphasize on.
So the key elements of our strategy and approach are, do you have your impact analyzed? Do you have the set of test scenarios that are going to be impacted, or do you have the business workflows that are going to be impacted, identified? Have you prepared your scenarios with all the possible integration points and test data that is required? Have you ensured that all the integration points and which you have on all the custom code has been tested internally in terms of integration or connectivity, in terms of security, in terms of performance? Have you validated those points? Do you have an approach to ensure that you can continuously optimize your regression pack so that you're always ready for every upcoming Microsoft release? If you have an automation pack, do you have a strategy in place to maintain your automation pack? Have you actually thought about using intelligence techniques like self-healing to ensure that your automation scripts are always maintained and it reduces the manual maintenance effort? For the upcoming releases, you have the test data and you know what test data needs to be refreshed.